Wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma Allahumma faqihna fid din. Tips and tricks just to make sure that we are appearing for it, and we have limited time, a week, and then we have to prepare for our next paper. So here, education is our passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. Time is the most precious treasure in the world, and never let what you can not do interfere with what you can do. So please make sure that we are here. We are here to prepare. We are already prepared, but we are just making sure that how to just attempt our papers beforehand. And we are going to make sure that we should be relaxed before sitting into the papers. Remembering skills, and we will be needing remembering skills. As before we start, you should know that 68% of the weightage is for the factual based questions. That means assessment objective one, and then we have 32% of the assessment objective 2. That means analyzing. So there are different skills which are required. Number one, remembering skill, and analyzing skills. We will be needing understanding skills, evaluating skills. So for the remembering skill, we need to remember the quotations, we need to remember the references, we need to remember the verses and the hadiths, and this is basically for assessment objective 1, 10-mark question. That carries your 68% of the weightage of the paper, and for that one, we cannot change anything, we cannot add anything, but we need to remember, we need to understand that this is the only key to success, that we have to put our emphasis on remembering. And that carries 68% of the weightage. The other part is analyzing skill. It is also used in your assessment objective 1, and it is also used in your assessment objective 2, that is 4-mark question. And for assessment objective 2, we need analyzing skill, that is critical analysis, and we also need it by the end of the question. You can say 10-mark question are also based on analysis skill. For example, if I say that write a note on the benefits of the of zakat, or benefit of the hajj, or how hajj is beneficial for the Muslim community. So don't you think so? It is a 10-mark question, but your analysis is required, and we need to understand that the question of that particular paper is focused on analyzing skills. And third foremost thing is the skill which is required is understanding skill, that is required in part A and part B. And we need to understand the level marking of the question, the marking scheme of the question. We cannot start any question, we cannot start any answer without understanding of the question, because most of the answer lies in your question. Then we have to understand the evaluative skills, that is basically also required in part B, और जिसमें आपको attempting techniques चाहिए होती हैं, how to attempt your part B, that is 4-mark question. Then we have the research, and by here I mean to say research means that you have to use the other means of study. It can be internet, it can be the reference book, it can be your other book material, but for internet I would suggest please do not go for the irrelevant websites, the unreliable websites, because they are going to give you a lot of material which is not required, not needed at this time of the period. And by internet I mean to say that you can use internet for checking the marking scheme, for downloading the past papers, and for reading the examiner report. And we also need the other book references, because as an examiner, as a teacher, I would say that your one book is never sufficient for writing down your answer. A good writer is always a good reader. So please rely on the reference books. Am I clear enough? Am I clear enough to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, you have to answer all 4 questions within 1 hour and 30 minutes. And try to keep within these timings. Time management is very, very important. Please note down. You have question number 1, and you have to attempt question number 1 in almost 15 minutes. For question number 1, we need to understand that we have to attempt 2 part A's and we have to attempt 2 part B's. And that has to be done reading the question, understanding the question in 15 minutes. Please note it down. And question number 2, it has to be done in 25 minutes. Question number 2 on both the papers. That means history and importance of Quran and history and importance of Hadith. This is a compulsory question, no choice will be given. And it has to be done in 25 minutes. Now, the optional questions. Optional questions, there are always 3 questions. We call them optional questions. Question number 3, question number 4, question number 5. We call them optional questions. And optional questions need to be done in 25 minutes. If you finish before that and you have few minutes left at the end, then reread and check your work. Okay, now we are coming to the paper pattern. We are coming to, I'm not just giving you paper pattern over here, what is in paper 1 and what is in paper 2, but I would suggest that you should remember the techniques before going for the paper. You must answer question number 1 and question number 2 in both the papers. Please remember that. You must answer question number 1 and question number 2. These are, we call them compulsory question. No choice will be given. Attempt all the question. You cannot leave any of the question from the paper, and answer. You must answer part A's and part B's of all the questions mentioned in the paper. Then choose the questions that can answer most easily. This is the tip number 1. If you find question number 3 is the most easy one to answer, please attempt that first. If you find question number 2 is a little difficult, then, because you know what is the technique, why I suggest you to attempt the easiest question first and the most difficult question later on, because in easier question you will not waste time in thinking, in jotting down the points, and then in wasting the point in recalling all the facts and the figures and the quotations for that. And if you have attempted the most easiest one, it means that you can do it quickly and you will not waste the time. You can answer the questions in any order. It's not compulsory that you have to attempt question number 1 sabse pehle and then question number 2 and 3. No, you can attempt any question in any order. So try to answer the questions beginning with the ones you feel most confident about. You will get more marks by finishing the paper than taking too long on any one question, then not finishing as a result. What do you mean by this statement? I say you will get more marks by finishing the paper than by not finishing the paper as a result. So you need to understand that you have to finish on time. You have to finish all the questions, all the parts, and write your answers in the allocated spaces. The space, you must be aware of the paper. You must have seen the paper, that the paper is it is given specific time, the spaces. 3 pages are given for each question, and you have to utilize those spaces. Margin line, you need to understand there are margin line given because the papers are being scanned, and that has to be very, very specific, that you need to write down between the spaces for each answer. If you need extra space for your answer, use the extra page at the end of the booklet, because there are 16 pages for your question booklet or your paper book, and if you still need more, please, you can utilize it. There is no harm in utilizing the paper. There is no harm in writing extra or taking extra sheet. But do not write in the blank spaces next to other questions. Kyun? It is when you find it, the extra space is given and there is a question that you are not attempting it, but the space is there and you do not want to use that space, you can still ask the invigilator for the extra sheets. You have the right to ask for the extra sheets. And if you find it hard to call the invigilator and it is going to waste your time, then the third option is use the blank pages given in the question booklet. Is it clear? Then if you finish early, go back and check your work. You can add more details in your answer. If you remember something, you can add extra details or the facts in your given question or the answer if you find it so. All right, Ji. Now, what skills will be assessed? It is very important to understand we have 2 skills. We have 2 assessments, assessment objective 1 and assessment objective 2. I have already introduced you with the assessment objective 1. Assessment objective 1 kya hota hai? Assessment objective 1 is basically your 68% of the paper, and assessment objective 1 means that you have to rely on the facts. What do we mean by facts? For the facts, we need knowledge. And for the knowledge, what do we have to do? Memorization. If you have to write down an answer for the battles, can we add any detail for the battles from our own? No, we have to recall. We have to memorize what already the history says about it. So it means the assessment objective 1 is based on the knowledge, is on the memorization of the fact, is a factual knowledge. Is the factual knowledge that we cannot add anything from our own, we cannot eliminate any point from it, but it has to be memorized, and the skill that is required for it is memorization. As I already mentioned earlier, memorization. So memorization is the key to success to score 68%. I'm so sorry that I'm repeating is saying 78%, but it is 68% of weightage of your paper. That means if you have already memorized the fact, and now this question requires to recall what you have memorized. And you do not have to write down everything what you have memorized for specific topic, but you have to select the things, select the material, select the content which is asked in the question. And then you have to present the relevant facts from the main elements of the faith and the history of Islam. Am I clear enough? Am I clear enough to everyone? That's great. And then for assessment objective 2, we need to understand that it is based on the critical analysis. The 32% weightage of the paper. 32% weightage of the paper means that your assessment objective 2, your 4-mark answers, these 4-mark answers are in your hand. There is no mandatory cutting in the 4-mark answer. There is no mandatory cutting in assessment objective 2. You can get level 2. You can get 4 out of 4. How? But how can you get level 2 answer, 4 marks? You need to understand what is asked in the question. And then you need to demonstrate what is required. And then you have to give the significance in the teachings of Islam and in the lives of the Muslims. What do we mean by lives of the Muslims? Always the examiner, what is asked in the question paper is that you have to present your answer by giving the implementation from the life of a Muslim. Jaise implementation, for example, if I say, if I take an example of the assessment objective 1, the Battle of Badr, and in part 2, you've been asked, part B, you've been asked that the significance of the battle in a Muslim's life. We cannot fight the battle now. We are not in the battlefield. But for you, for me, for a 16-year-old student, the examiner wants to see how it is still applicable for you. So how it is still applicable for you, you need to give a concrete example. Please write it down. Concrete example must be written down in assessment objective 2. Concrete example must be written down when you've been asked that you have to present, you have to give the teachings of Islam and in the lives of the Muslim. Ab concrete example क्या होती है? जैसे आपसे कहा गया कि examples how the event of the Battle of Badr is still significant. Still, how do you analyze it? So you need to write down from your own understanding, from your own implementation, from your own daily life. जैसे आप इसके example quote कर सकते हैं कि faith in belief. So faith in belief, how can you relate faith in belief? Give concrete example, faith in belief. Assessment objective 2 के लिए मैं आप लोगों को बता दूं कि there are 3 things required for assessment objective 2. Please note down. Number 1, identification. Number 2, elaboration. And number 3 is the example, daily life example. When you are writing down any point for part B, so one point needs these 3, you can say these 3 elements. One is an identification, number 2 is elaboration, and number 3 is the daily life example. So when you have provided all these 3 elements in your one point, then your point is considered to be accurate according to the level marking. Am I clear enough to all?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So 3 things are required: an identification, number 2 is elaboration, and number 3 is daily life example. So when you provided all these three elements in assessment objective 2, then it covers 1 point.